Hey guys, Infidel1258. Today we're going to get into bots and soulbound cards. I'm talking with Rick on the Mountain as well as HL49, two fellow YouTubers who cover this amazing blockchain-based video game regularly, and you should follow them. We are going to get into a wide range of this soulbound conversation. It's going to, at the core, cut to whether this new change to how we reward players for their time and attention are these soulbound rewards improving, or are they exacerbating the bot farm problem within Splinterlands? We are not on the same page here, so I hope you stick around and stay tuned while Rick, myself, and HL hammer this one out and have an amazing conversation. If you want to be live for future conversations like this, subscribe and become a member so you can have full access to even the private members-only live events. Have an amazing day. God bless. Ahmed says, random question, does soulbound cards and gladiators give you points for daily chests and season chests, or are they considered ghost cards? Let's talk about this before we go any further, because this is a quick answer, but there's more to talk about around soulbounds. So let's. Do you guys know the answer to this? Do we get reward points for these cards?
You get. Oh, you can also talk. I just didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, the cards are counted as normal cards. So you're not getting, if you have a gold card, you get the additional 10%. If you have a normal card on level, then you're getting basically it on the level. Mm-hmm. So just counting as normal cards. Mm-hmm.
And actually, gladiators too, I think, is that the same? Is this story the same there? Because now we can play gladiators in ranked battles.
Yep. Yeah, they don't have ghost card versions, so you'll never have the ghost card penalty for it, but they're treated exactly as any other card in terms of the rewards that you're earning off of them.
As long as you have the appropriate level for the level you're playing at, or not even the appropriate level, it's like the level before. So you're playing in gold, you got a silver version, then you're not going to get penalized for running that card. But if you are playing low level cards, we talked about this before going live, Rick, and let's get into this a bit, like soulbound cards. And one of the things I've been thinking about is like, how quickly are these things going to fill up? I have heard that we have concerns that they're going to fill up quickly, and people will be, in a few months' time, we'll all have maxed soulbound decks. That's a topic, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. But then another topic is that even a bad thing if it is? Because do you truly only want one copy of these soulbound cards, or would you be happy to have multiples? And then also, the penalty associated, if you're playing at diamond or champion or even gold, there's a lot of penalties associated with playing these cards right now. And so I feel as though we haven't really even seen these cards in a real substantial way, because many people haven't upgraded them fully or to that level, so that they aren't playing them because they don't want the penalties. So maybe, Rick, I'll throw to you first, and I don't know which angle you want to go there, but let's talk in some level about these soulbound cards.
I feel like my pushback against the soulbound cards currently is that all of the arguments that are made in favor of it, like people are excited to be opening their chests because they're getting new cards, and they weren't before because they already bought the cards. Well, that's on the players who, can just outright buy the cards. Like for me, I've always been excited pulling cards in my chest. I'm less excited now that they're soulbound because it's like, before I could, get a copy of a legendary, and then I could go buy a couple more copies and then, get it up to that level. But now I'm sitting on stuff that I really can't use without heavy penalties. And I mean, sometimes those penalties are worth it. Like I have had a match in high gold where I ran a level 2 Lob Lowland with Quora and Runemancer Flore, and it was opportunity rule set. So I put the Fungus Flinger in between them, and I managed to get the Martyr onto both Quora and Runemancer Flore. And that was a very fun battle. I took heavy penalties on my rewards, but it was still a win, and so you're still earning rewards. And that's, I feel, is an aspect of that, rewards penalties that isn't touched on very much. Like sometimes it's worth paying the penalty to secure the win, because if you don't win, then your penalty is 100%.
That's
You're
right.
not earning anything.
Yeah.
So like that aspect of things, I don't mind as much, and I do still occasionally play with the lower level stuff. And I mean, I don't have max deck anyways. Like I was mentioning before we started live, like I've got all of Holozor's wild cards,
Mhm.
but I pretty much own. I have nothing in modern. I've got a couple of max level Chaos Legion legendaries that he had extra copies of that he delegated to me as well. But like I don't pretty much own nothing out of Rift Watchers. And this is all from, back in November when SPS hit 4 cents and I sold my entire collection to put all of it into SPS, and I basically quadrupled my stake. So like that is a choice that I made. That's why I pretty much don't have any cards right now. And what I do have, I'm mostly renting out. But we've like kind of turned a corner to where now, and especially like I've got another account that I just started playing again, got a nifty deck and like fighting up through bronze. And even though they've made these changes to novice, to where now you don't lose rank in novice, and once you get out of novice, you can't fall back into it. But that pushed all of those bots that were in novice, now they're in bronze, and it's making bronze even more difficult to get through. And it's like I got that nifty deck, and literally last night I played 8 games on it. I won 1, I lost 3. I won 1, I lost 3. And it's just so frustrating. And again, this is like I've been here for a year and a half. I know this game pretty well. I know these cards. But I'm fighting against bots that have cards that not only do I not have, but I cannot get. And that is the biggest problem I have with the Soulbound cards. It's not having access to these tools. And then it's right now, the gulf is not that big, but it's going to get larger over time. Someone who is just picking up the game in 6 months is going to be behind the 8 ball as far as trying to get anywhere to even be able to earn any kind of rewards, because they don't have these cards and they cannot get them.
I have some thoughts there, but I almost want to just give some space for HL49 to get in there and let I don't know, you can respond to what Rick's talking about, or you can talk on some component of Soulbound's here. Like, what are you thinking on these new cards? Are yours maxing out? Are you worried about these penalties? Are you worried about like 6 months where we're going to be for, new people to get in fighting against people who have full Soulbound decks by that point? What do you think?
Basically, I think Soulbound cards are one of the best things that could happen to Splinterlands. Because up there, it's pretty rough. I'm playing in Champion and in High Diamond most of the time of the season. And you really see the difference in having a card or not having a card. And now it forces all the bots up there, because I know a lot of the leaderboard players are using bots like Archmage or Xbot or even the legendary Dragon bot. And it seems now they have to use it and not can only buy their way to the win. So now you have, if you're active, you have the advantage over other players. That's what I think makes a big difference.
It's interesting because I feel like you guys you're looking at the same thing and then just seeing it in a different angle. Like what the idea of like what you just said, HL. You said if you're active, you're going to get these cards, and if you get these cards, you're going to have that advantage, and you're going to have some more success because of that. And so, from your perspective, you're going to be active, and you're going to receive those. At least there's some RNG in there. You don't know which cards you're going to get, but you're just trusting through your daily activity you're going to receive those. And you're willing to put your own sort of commitment of activity and the expected results against everyone else, and you're like, you know what, I'm confident I'm going to get the cards like in time, and I'm going to succeed with them. And then Rick, I'm hearing from you, it's not necessarily about you and how you're not going to get the cards, but you are thinking about like in 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months, there's going to be a new player that signs up, and they aren't going to have the opportunity in this window, in this moment, because it's gone for the 3, 4, 5, 6 months of accumulating those cards. And then what does that do to the new player experience? So I can see both of these arguments as having value. I personally, I like that they're soulbound. I think there's rooms for improvement in how it was executed and how it's being executed. But I like that they're soulbound because I actually like that I can't, there's this daily longing. There's this season, every season ending. I'm really eager to see that I get these summoners sorted out. And so far, I haven't been very lucky in getting my summoners. I'm only level 2, level 1, level 3 over here, which is cool, and level 2. But I haven't been particularly lucky in these summoners, and therefore I'm not going to be using any of them really. Even though it was really cool to hear your story, Rick, about how you use Loblaw. And I guess, so what the thing I'm trying to point out is that there's this excitement I'm feeling about every chest could offer me a card that I can't find anywhere else. I can't go buy it. I can't go rent it. And that rarity, that scarcity, makes each chest more exciting to me. But I do see that it's not optimized. Like, I think to me, it strikes me that we still haven't really talked about, like, are they going to fill up in 6 months? Like, in 6 months, am I going to have a max deck of this? Is that a problem? Is that a good thing? Like, because I actually personally want many copies of each of these cards, but maybe some players would say, oh, see, it's annoying because I'm going to get these all maxed out, and then I'm just going to get more of these same cards that I don't even want, and I can't do anything with them. Maybe that's a point of criticism. I don't know. HL, what do you think about that?
Personally, I think those cards, if they stay for 2 years, this will be way too long. I now calculated it. I got about 648 copies for 1 month playing it. I even have some legendaries at level 3 right now.
Okay.
I have one legendary level 3, and I think if they stay this long, first up, the players are gonna get bored because always getting the same card, even if you have like 10 copies extra of the legendary, why do you still want it? You have a maxed out copy. You want some new stuff.
Rick?
And you still can afterwards, you are able, if they go out of circulation, you can still sell them to everybody who needs them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically getting free money out of a game. And if you stay long enough, you can even evaluate and sell those cards in the future.
Mm-hmm. So, but you're saying you can sell them in the future, but you're kind of saying 2 years is too long, but you're okay with having more than one copy also, is what I'm hearing. Is that right?
Yeah.
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 And Rick, what do you think about this stuff?
I do agree with that. Like, I feel like, and I know this is something that we talked about even before Soulbound happened, like 43 cards was too many to drop all at once. This should have been kind of released over time to allow you to build up cards and whatnot. But also I see Aaron Kennedy in the chat saying new players will need to invest in other cards to enable them to get the Soulbound cards anyways. The problem with that logic is the bots already have all of those other cards too. Mm-hmm. So literally for the new player coming in, they're going to be facing against bots that have all of the cards that they can buy and a bunch of cards that they cannot. And it's like HL was just saying, especially up in Champion, like, but also true in Bronze and Novice. Like, if you're going against somebody who literally has options that you do not, that significantly hampers your ability to win, especially when you're talking about these bots that have the perfect play algorithm.
Yeah, that makes me want to talk about, like, you say perfect play algorithm, and I think to myself the fact that, I mean, I have a really substantial deck, but I don't win every game. I have like all the options, and you might say, well, you know, you just get good. And there's some truth to that. Like, I'm not an expert. I'm not like a premier player at this game. And even though I have a wealth of assets, I don't necessarily win when maybe I ought to. But I think interestingly, there's still, I feel as though there's a strong voice saying that bots are really, really exceptional. And we've seen some evidence of them, you know, doing really well with certain decks. And I've heard Xbots really good, and I've you know, even Archmage apparently, like, under certain conditions was able to, you know, fight in champ. And with my deck, Archmage was never capable of getting into, let alone staying in champ. And so, you know, I guess my conversation is like, do you guys really feel that bots are they more powerful than people? or is their creativity, especially now that we have, for instance, 3 rule sets, we have this new introduction of cards, and it feels like every time there's a new change of that nature, there's a new rethinking that the bot has to do, which is like a data-based thinking that takes time to accumulate, whereas you as a person have creativity and imagination that doesn't necessarily need months of research to really start doing fun and creative things. Rick, what do you think about that?
I think that both sides of what you just said are correct. Like at the higher levels, there is that aspect of, the players are, capable of reacting to the changes that are made quicker than the bots. However, at the lower levels, there isn't that third rule set. In fact, in Novice, there's no rule set. In Bronze, there is no rule 70% of the time. So like you're literally your only differential is the mana cap, because also 90% of the time you have every splinter available. So at the lower levels, the bots, they don't have any of those changes to worry about, and they do have the perfect lineups for every situation because it's so much simpler. And that's a big part of the reason I've been saying that the game doesn't really start until silver. That's where it actually gets to be fun. That's where the depth of strategy actually comes into it. But for a new player trying to get there is, you're fighting uphill with a bulldozer bearing down on you. And it's just ridiculously difficult for a new player coming in to try and learn in that environment, and that is the problem that I have.
Yeah, I see some. There's a strong. That's a strong point. Like, I mean, I have a hard time disagreeing with that. But HL, what do you think on this topic?
Yeah, I also thought about that, but I then suddenly realized all of the things you said are pretty good players, because I made a tutorial on every rule set. So I tried it. I made a new account. I bought only a water team level 2 with an Oceanus extra and also some dragon cards. And I was able to get bronze within 1 day, only memorizing a short amount of rule sets, like for every rule set one thing. And then I ran through the bots because I knew how to beat the bots, and every bot was like losing against me, and I was in silver and not even 25% ECR down.
This strikes me as an important point too. Like, I feel I sometimes hear a lot of like the bots are so powerful, and then I also hear from a wide range of audience members, you just need to know how to beat the bots, and I take advantage of them all the time. That's what people say, and so I think it's probably both and. Like, I think some people don't recognize the exploit opportunity with the bots and how they often play, and if you're brand new, you're not really gonna get. It's like you need a certain degree of sophistication within understanding the battle mechanic to recognize how you're being beaten. And if you then see how you're being beaten, how can I counter it? And if you have that sort of vision, like I think you guys both do, you can individually respond to the bots. But some new players maybe can't, and that's the new player conversation. Like, how are we appealing to? Because I do agree, when we get into bronze and we say like it's all bots and the rule sets are often not that complicated, I don't know how to fix those things for the new player experience, but maybe. Have we started to see a removal of bots since the Soulbound Reward cards? Because from the data analysis that I saw, like, let's see, explore. Do you guys have any? Let's see. I want to find the number of plays per day has really dropped. The number of counts playing dashboard.
It dropped for the first few days because the day before the change, they a lot of the bot farms ran ECR all the way down to maximize their sellable reward cards. So for the first few days, there was a significant drop off, but after 4 days, it very much just came back. And I mean, in gold, there was a series live on stream a couple of days ago where in 8 battles, I played the same bot farm 6 times.
Is that right? And
so I went back and I looked through the entire active history that I had at that point. In those 20 matches, there were 9 battles against that same bot farm. Like, they have not left. They haven't gone anywhere, because now they're actually having more of an advantage over people because they have cards that other people can't get. And, you know, it's.
But isn't that just RNG? Like, if 9 out of 20 battles you're facing against bots, and if those 9 out of 20 have been lucky enough to get certain cards that you can't, that's just RNG. Like, you sometimes, and you might have been the lucky one who, like, I've seen people show 3 gold foil legendaries in a single chest. I mean, that could have been you, or it could have been them. I feel like somebody wins the lottery every day is my point. You know what I mean? Like, and tomorrow it could be me, especially since, like, with this game, to HL's point earlier, with this game, every day you earn, with your intentionality and your effort, you're gonna predictably receive X amount of chests, whether it's 5 or 10 or 20, and then at the season, you know, 20, 30, 50, maybe 80, depending on how and where you play, and so, you know, your point is, like, they have those cards I can't get. Yes. But you can and will get maybe tomorrow, or maybe even today. And so you can't predict it. And you also can't tell me that those bots that have had success over the last, let's say, 2-3 weeks since we've had these things, you can't say with great deal of confidence that any one of those accounts that you, in particular, that you faced, while they might have received you know, 1 or 2 or several of the really great Soulbound cards, that they're then going to receive those cards again over the next week or 2 or 3, meaning that they're able to level them up again and again. Because, you know, yeah, you get it once, you get 10 copies of it, 15 copies of it. But like we said before we went live, Rick and I were talking, and neither of us has a Marks Rat, like, not one copy of it. And so it's just a bit luck and unluck, you know, and maybe it's bad that there's that component of luck, but I kind of like that. But then we have to remember too, it is fun to get this asset in a loot chest that you can't receive anywhere else. That's a neat thing about the loot chest. It creates a certain degree of excitement toward each loot chest.
I mean, yeah, but I had the same feeling about pulling cards when they weren't soulbound that I do now. Like, it's no less fun pulling a card just because you could have bought it, when that also, on the flip side, allows you to maximize what that card is actually worth to you. So I feel like overall, like, I love the cards for the most part. There's a couple of the soulbound cards I'm not too thrilled with. I love the cards themselves. And I'm not even really super insanely against the idea of, you know, the soulbound cards. I feel like the implementation definitely could have been handled a lot better, and that there are a lot of ways that it could have been improved. But overall, like, I'm not necessarily against what we've got. I just feel like it is going to hurt specifically the new player experience. And that's where I'm coming. I'm like, I understand, like Alex is saying, bots aren't going anywhere. And in regards to Nifty, actually, I am on Splinterlands TV Saturday morning, and I will have Nifty on with me, Alex. So feel free to join me on that stream, and we'll be talking with them. I do have some more content that I'm working on regarding Nifty, and like I said, one of my decks I just spooled back up. I haven't been playing it for a while, but I got a Nifty deck on there, and I'm playing through bronze with it. So, like, I understand that bots are not going anywhere. There's no way we can deal with them, but giving them a further advantage over new players. Because, yeah, you're right, HL49, you can learn how to beat the bots, but that is not learning how to play the game. That is learning how to specifically beat the bots. And so what we're asking new players to do, in effect, is come into the game, learn how to beat the bots, and then learn how to play the game. And all the while playing against players and bots that not only have cards that they don't have, but they have cards that they cannot have. And that is the huge difference to me there, is that, like, of course, in any collectible card game, you're always going to face off against an opponent who has something that you don't, because they have a bigger wallet and a bigger collection, and they have been able to buy everything.
Yeah.
That is just a fact of the game. But with Soulbound cards, the fact that you can't even spend to get on that same field, that is the problem that happens.
I feel like that's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's two ways of looking at it, and I hear you, and I'm not saying it's perfect. I hope my words aren't coming across to the audience or to you two that like this system is perfect, and I'm super okay with some of the problems that we've already acknowledged. Like, I do see a new player maybe hurdle or challenge, and you said it again, like the idea of like you walk in the door and you in 3 months from now, and somebody's already had 3 months to accumulate these. That's a problem. But then, you know, to me, that's in the same conversation as you walk into a game like Magic the Gathering or any sort of where money can buy you in. You're going to have this problem of there are others who can just mop the floor with me, and I'm a little fish in a big pond. And to me, whether it's money that got you there, or whether it's time and attention and years of commitment, because that's what we're doing right now, guys. You're investing your time and attention daily within Splinterlands to have an opportunity to access these scarce resources that will allow you to win. And yeah, that's true. The old reward cards that were liquid had that same kind of coolness. And I do want to, the fact that the old reward cards were liquid was a benefit that was worth being excited about that we don't currently have with these. So again, this is not a perfect thing versus like it used to be terrible, now it's awesome. It's more like I see really cool nuance to how it is, and I also see challenges with how it's being implemented. Let's go to the chat though. It's been a while and these guys are blowing it up in here. And I saw Bobby threw down a new membership. Appreciate you, bro. Thanks, man. And let's see what else is going on. Aaron, I think that I think that's the benefit of Soulbound, is that they are so hard to get that they make it truly competitive and will give some edge to and encourage a grind. That's how I look at it. Bobby says, back in the day, Milo and the horse with Void got me out of bronze. It's interesting how like certain plays really. That was one of them, and somebody else earlier mentioned Windiku. Windiku used to be like a free pass out of bronze, and that happens too, where it's like one card, or Oceanus is really key. Or I don't know if we did this talk live, but Rick was telling me he likes to, in low mana matches with the blue team, he likes to roll the Rick, what's that legendary water that you rent? It's
Phantom
like
of the Abyss.
Yeah, and then you'll put the Fiend and the Chicken, and the Abyss is enough, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
More often than not.
Yeah. Game is fun even if no rewards. That's the attitude, dude. That's if you believe this, if the people who are listening believe this sentiment from Crypto Ace, then I think you'll be here in 3 or 4 years to come, and that's where over a long period, that long time horizon, you can accumulate massive rewards that are trivial in nature at first, but accumulate value with the limiting supply and the growing audience.
And yeah, I mean, the game is fun even if you get no rewards, but if you're a new player coming in and you are just losing to cards that you cannot get access to, that's a lot less of a situation where it's fun even without rewards. Because, I mean, it's not the rewards that make it fun, but the winning is definitely a big part of it. Like, if you are just getting hammered, you're not going to have fun, and you're not going to stick around long enough to learn the game well enough to learn to beat the bots, and then learn how to beat people, and then learn to tell the difference between the two, and then start earning rewards. Like, I understand that if you're only here for the rewards, then that's the problem, and those are the people that we don't need here. But how are you going to learn to love the gameplay if you never even have a chance to experience the actual gameplay?
Yeah, I think we need to, like, there's a certain audience that are going to say what you said and they're going to leave. And then there's an audience that are going to say, wow, I'm getting smacked, and I'm just going to buy what I'm able, and I'm going to win when I'm able, and I'm going to enjoy that. Because I think, I currently, there are cards you don't have, and yet you get smacked by people who roll with that. And And so it's like, it's never the case that you're going to have all the solutions, even if you could quote unquote, access these soul bounds. That's kind of the bottom line, man. It's like everybody's going to have a different deck and a different journey and you're going to be a gold and I'm going to be a diamond. But hopefully you can find joy in it. And to your point, to give credit where credit's due, like if you're not having fun, you're right, they're going to leave. And so we want to maximize the opportunity for them to have fun. I think there's let's maybe shift that conversation into